Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing amazing. I want to thank you so much for the constant support you've been showing me. And if you're from TikTok, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the family. I hope you like what you see and you stick around. And for those of you who have been with me since day one or close to day one, thank you for staying with me. Thank you for the constant support and thanks for the feedback. You guys really seem to be liking these types of videos. I enjoy making these types of videos, and yes, please subscribe to the channel. My goal is to reach as close or 8,000 subscribers by the end of February. I think we can do it. We're pretty close to it already. Also, give my video a thumbs up. Keep commenting as you've been doing, and I'm just grateful. Alright, so for today's video, most of you should know or have seen this video by now.
I remember when I went to his bedroom to say goodnight and he was crying because of the abuse that he was enduring in this school system.
Then why did you stay in Mexico?
So now that we've seen this video, I don't think a lot of us actually know why this even happened or why this person by the name of Tom Burtell, who made the comment, why didn't you stay in Mexico? I don't think a lot of us actually know what prompted him to say this or why there was either why there was a meeting to begin with. Apparently, last week, some white kids were making fun of black kids on the football team and just writing hateful slurs, white power and the South will rise again. That is what prompted this meeting for community and parents to get together. Now, during this meeting, there was a parent by the name of Adrian, I'm gonna butcher your last name, Adrian Orola, who is Mexican, and he got on the microphone and he was basically saying racism is an issue in this school and in this community. He was saying that his son cries himself or has been crying himself to sleep because of the racism and the name calling and the bullying that he goes through. And as Adrian was giving this explanation, a man by the name of Tom Burtell decides to interrupt and say, why didn't you stay in Mexico? And as you saw from the video, the crowd gets upset. My favorite part is when you hear this white lady in the back screaming, you need to leave. That was like the best part of the entire video. I could not stop laughing. But jokes aside, here are some of the questions I have, and here are the things that I find ironic about this whole situation. First of all, this Tom person is the reason why you have these white kids that are doing this. He is part of the problem. I know he isn't the only one who is probably racist in that town. The other thing is, this meeting is about racism, and you so blatantly and so fearlessly decide to put that into the air. Like, how did you think it was going to turn out, buddy? With all the cameras and all the viral videos and all the cancel culture we have going on today, how did you think this, your reaction was going to go with the other people? Did you think people were going to agree with you? Did you think you were going to get a round of applause and an attaboy? Now, don't get me wrong. I have a feeling that some of the parents or people in the community probably went up to him behind closed doors and shook his hand and congratulated him and said, I was feeling the same way. I just didn't have the balls to do what you did. Again, this is just my opinion. The other thing that I find really ironic or funny about this situation is Tom Burtell at this meeting after he told Adrian, why didn't you stay in Mexico? He then says, try being white and walk in a black neighborhood. I live in a black neighborhood. I've seen white people walk in a black neighborhood. I mean, unless something has happened after I passed that street, nothing has ever happened. And I highly doubt anything has happened to this Tom guy when he's walked down the street. And even so, why it bothers you so much? Why don't you move to a white neighborhood, predominantly white neighborhood? Why are you still where you live? I don't understand. Tom seems like a racist individual, and he's the type of guy, in my opinion, that would say, I have one black friend. That is the type of person Tom seems to be. Again, in my opinion. But if this is how you feel, why would you attend a meeting that discusses racism in a negative light? If you are a racist, which I believe you are, you should not be here. These are not your people. These are not the ones that you need to be standing with. Unless it was mandatory, you probably shouldn't have been there. The other thing, how does it feel knowing that your child, your very own child, publicly denounced you and your hateful remark? Your children denounced you, your wife denounced you, and now the whole country is denouncing you. How do you feel? All of this to say, racism still exists. I'm actually glad, in a way, that this Tom individual spoke up and said what he needed to say, because I feel like there are more people like him and they just don't want to speak up. I would rather you be a racist to my face, and I know it, than you hiding in the shadows and then acting like my friend, and then me having to find out later that you're not. So in that regard, thank you, Tom, for showing your true colors. I would rather honesty at all times. But his remarks just go to show that racism is still alive and well in this country. We may not be in shackles like we were 200 plus years ago. We may not have physical integrated signs, meaning we don't have like blacks only, white only water fountains. But now it's all psychological. In my opinion, I think racism now is worse than it ever has been. Because like I stated earlier in the video, you can't go anywhere outside in the streets without a camera or somebody capturing a picture of you. With all the police shootings and by the hands of white men, all of those wrongful deaths have been recorded. We all know what happened. We all know that most of these black people were not at fault. We see the actual racism that's happening today, and nothing gets done about it. We have unarmed black men being shot for no reason. We have African American babysitters of white children who get pulled over by random white people asking, why are you here? What are you doing with these children? We have black people that are minding their own business, that live in a nice neighborhood, and white people will come up to them and threaten to call the cops on them because they've never seen them before. Heck, we even had a guy, this story happened in Detroit, Michigan. We had another story last week of a black man who could not deposit a check into his bank because it was way too much money. He went to the bank to deposit a check from a lawsuit discrimination civil case, won the case, went to deposit the check into the bank, and instead of the manager handling it accordingly, she goes to the back of the bank and calls the cops because she wants to report fraudulent activity, which means that he is a black man. He should not have that much money. He had to call his lawyer. His lawyer who was a white woman, had to tell the bank teller and the manager, well, I cashed in, or I deposited my cash retainer earlier, and my bank cleared it in 12 hours. These are the types of things that I'm talking about. So racism is still alive and well. This Tom Burtell person is just another small incident in this big issue of how we are being treated in America. And it sucks. And I hate to say it, I really don't think it's going to get any better. I've had my own issues where I've gone to the bank to deposit a check, and I've had a white bank teller ask me, are you sure you deposit checks this large? Things like that. Why do you need to know that? Why are you questioning what I'm doing? Because it is racism. We are not supposed to have that. And that is the same thing that happened with this meeting, and why those kids felt the need that they could spew that hate, because it is a cancer and it is a disease in this country, and honestly, I don't see it getting any better. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I know this is a longer one than usual, but this is a topic that I am extremely passionate about. Obviously, I don't like racism in any way, but I don't like people being mistreated because of someone else's hateful nature, and that's exactly what happened in this situation, and I'm glad Tom was called out on it. I'm glad his family separated themselves from him and said, dude, this is your problem, not our problem. And it's just a small step in miles of progress that need to be made. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, please comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Consider subscribing. Please subscribe to the channel. Trying to reach my goal of 8,000 subs by the end of this month. And yeah, don't forget to celebrate the small victories, because, as I said, there's not a whole lot to celebrate these days. Okay, bye.